This was like probably one of my first bigger deals. It was like 600,000, 700,000. My friend connected me with another individual. He goes, yeah, I'm buying this because I need to offload taxes. I'm like, well, that's interesting because I've been kind of doing this for forever. Like I bought my first home with my wife at like 21 years old, right? And then we use depreciation to help offset taxes and pay, close to zero in taxes or get a refund, right? And then here he is, this other gentleman, my buddy Colin, that he wants to offload taxes and he's going to be using this thing called bonus depreciation. His tax consultant and enrolled agent, a tax advisor, told him about this. I'm like, what's interesting? Because I've been telling my CPA for like the last year or two.
Trying to teach my CPA, yeah.
And he's been saying, no, it's too risky. Like, we don't want to do it. I like this guy. So I went and I helped him. And I already knew like what to look for, the formula, how to run the numbers. We found him a great place. He ended up saving like $80,000 or $90,000 in taxes. And his tax consultant actually reached out to me because he goes, hey, you got to talk to my tax guy. You made this process like so easy, so turnkey. Like you knew what, like you got my buy box right out of the gate. I spoke with like 4 or 5 other agents. Nobody knew what I was talking about. And you were the only one. So I was like, yeah, sure. I'll talk to him. So he ended up talking with me, flying in like a few days later. He was in town. He's like, look, I only got 24 hours. I'm flying in on like a Tuesday night. You only get with me Wednesday. Wednesday night, I leave. So I was like, okay, cool. So I came prepared. We saw like 12, 13 properties. He sent me a bunch of other ones. I was like, no, they're not going to fit your buy box. They're not going to do what you want. And they're not going to be in the areas you want. And he goes, oh, I want to turn it into an Airbnb. And I said, okay, cool. I knew nothing about Airbnb at that point. All I knew was real estate property depreciation. Airbnb, like, I didn't know they were going to be Airbnbs.
I was looking for. Yeah, for you.
Yeah, I was looking for the right location. Like the fundamental principles of investing in real estate was location, 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 making sure you're buying correctly so you're not overpaying. And he was so blown away by my process. He was like, hey, I have a few other clients who want to do this thing too. Like, could you help me? Could you help me and help them? I said, yeah, sure. And that's when things started to really pick up. And I started figuring out that, hey, there's this other play that people need. They don't want to just buy properties to live in. They want to buy investment properties. They want to buy them well. They want to use them for tax advantages and leveraging the tax code in order to save money. And that's when I knew I was onto something and I had to double down. It did help that my background is finance and accounting. It did help that I worked at Ernst & Young. So I already had this common ground and language that when he was talking to me, I understood what he was looking for. So he didn't have to really go into the nitty-gritty and explain this stuff.
It was a natural fit.
It was a natural fit. And I was like, oh, well, I've been doing this stuff for myself. Now I get to do this for other people. I really like this. I'm passionate about it. And there was something that we always hear. It's like, find your passion, do it, and you'll get paid really well for it. And it's so cliche until it really happens for you and you figure out how it applies to you. And I just, kind of doubled down.
Love that.
And I started, selling more real estate, primary residences, luxury stuff, Airbnb. But my niche was always that short-term rental because high-income earners that are on W-2 or business owners that cannot have what we call the real estate professional status. By the way, you don't need to be licensed to have an REP status. It's just a tax terminology. They cannot have 750 hours managing the property and having material participation, but more than likely they have 100 extra hours to manage their Airbnb business to get the same tax benefits. Or they have a spouse that's at home that can dedicate the time, and through hitting those requirements, I started saving a client $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. Like I have a guy that I'm working with right now. Last year, we saved him $1.5 million in actual taxes by
that
leveraging
he would have paid
real estate,
otherwise.
that he would have paid otherwise.
Yeah, that's huge.
And things started to just go faster and faster. People started dumping Airbnbs because they didn't know what the heck they were doing. Mm-hmm. They didn't know what made them good properties, what made them tick, how to make more money. Because then the market shifted, and all of a sudden, 2023, everything kind of came to a screeching halt. From a real estate perspective, and from the travel perspective and everything else for a short period of time. And then things started, picking back
cycle.
up. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
Right?
Cycle.
Hospitality is more cyclical than some other things.
Of course.
Right? And so like you said, you have to understand if you're buying into Airbnb, there's a different risk profile than low income
like
apartment housing, like what Jaron and I do more commonly. I have Airbnbs as well, but really most of what we do is that stuff. And so that has it's a little stickier, a little bit more consistent. In some cases.
There's cycles, but it's definitely slower and not as probably abrupt and
more predictable.
More predictable. The curves might be a little more shallow of dips and increases of rent and things like that. But and vacancies. So on the Airbnb. How did you found this niche, you found this client, they loved you loved them, I guess you got connected maybe with their accountant too.
Yes.
How did you then go and market that? What were your lead channels for that?
Went back to the basics of the stuff that I knew how to do. Okay. Paid advertising and marketing and referrals. But also I started going to CFPs, Certified Financial Planners, CPAs, accountants, and enrolled agents, so on and so forth.
Was that working?
Yes. Yeah, because I looked at them like they already had my book of business. They already know people's financial situations. Let me add a strategy for them and benefit them that they can look like a rock star in front of their client by having something else to save them money, not just writing off a bunch of expenses. And a lot of like doctors, physicians, dentists, attorneys, like they don't have
for passive income.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to go and run a portfolio of 30, 40, 50 properties or run 4 or 5 units at a time or dedicate the time. So then what I started doing is we started transitioning the business in a way where it's like, hey, I'll come to me. I'll help you find it, source it, underwrite it. Then we'll help you set it up, literally start to finish. You give me the keys at closing. I'll see you 4 to 6 weeks later, and the property is going to be fully furnished, optimized, licensed with an Airbnb account attached to it, and then you have a choice.
It's huge. Yeah.
Do you want to manage it yourself, which most of them say no because they're way too busy.
Or they think they do, and then they realize quickly, and they change their mind.
They come back to you.
So then we started the management division.
So you manage Airbnbs as well?
Currently. But we are changing that model a little bit where we find it, we set it up, and then we manage. The we manage part now I have been growing tremendously, which is a huge blessing, and I'm extremely grateful for it. That there are certain things that like I know where I'm good at, and I have to cut certain things off. Management is one of those things where now we're partnering with like 3 or 4 really incredible and amazing property managers that can service my clients at scale, while then I take a step back and become their advisor for their property. So it makes it a lot more impactful because now I don't have to drive the car, build the car, fix the car as the property is, operating, because that's where really a lot of the downfalls happen. They don't really happen if we do the job correctly in the beginning by getting the right property in a great location. When we set it up, like we have the formula. We've set up over like 50 or 60 homes at this point. We know what works, what doesn't, how to make them look a certain way to appeal to a certain avatar. Like that formula is dialed in. Our properties perform anywhere between 30 to as high as like 38% higher than similar listings in the area. Like, yes, a combination of it is with management, but it's also having fundamentally the right asset tailored.
You make your money on the buy.
Yeah, exactly. Right? 100%. 100%. Right? So with the management, it's the hardest component because it is the most gruesome, the one that needs the most attention, the one that
it's time consuming. It's a time suck.
Everything. It's like you have a baby. In the first few months of it, you have to pay attention to it. Now, property management is like that baby can be literally 4 or 5 years old. You still have to pay attention to it the same way. Yeah. Just because you have 150 reviews and they're all 5 stars, it does not matter if you don't have your pricing dialed in, if you don't have the cleanings dialed in, right?
And
That's
in
why I made that
Airbnb,
choice.
the details matter more than
Everything.
anything. Long-term rentals, that we own, you need management to go fix some issues that happen, or a code violation comes, or whatever it is, or some leak, or fix the hot water
one in
heater.
the blue moon, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it might be a handful of issues depending on how many apartments you have. But yeah, if you have, let's say you have 10 apartments, maybe there's one maintenance issue per month on those 10 units or something like that. But this is there might be occupants moving in and out of this Airbnb every 2 to 3 days on average. I don't know what the average is.
3.7 is average.
I'm close. So
for our area.
3 to 4. Yeah.
So let's go 3 to 4 days. These
And the
properties,
cleaning and the
a lot of
move-in and the
turns.
maintenance, and it's just constant, the grind, and of course, the walls start to get scuffed and the bathrooms get dirty and the carpet, and you got to, it's
See, when
nonstop.
people move in for long term, they still care about their property.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to house their friends. They're going to come over. So if they're not taking care of the property, they're going to pay for it, and you have a security deposit to kind of.
And they know when they're living in it, that's on them. They
Yes.
created that scuff on the wall.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
Yes.
So like that's not
They're
how
not calling the landlord to come paint their walls every 2 months. It's not going to happen.
But in an Airbnb, I mean, I can't tell
It's a
you how
hotel.
many. Yeah, I'm touching up baseboards. I'm touching up doors.
Yeah.
We're replacing this and that.
Yeah, you
all these
have
little
how
things.
many Airbnbs? You have
3.
one or 3? You have 3. Yeah,
It's always something.
And he self-manages, so he knows.
Well, actually, that's
did you transition
Yeah.
recently?
So,
Okay.
so I had my fiance managing. She runs a business herself, and she does very, very well. And so she has no time for this. But she said she wanted to manage it like a couple of years ago. I'm like, okay, because I was never going to manage it. I knew that from the beginning.
You're smart.
like,
Trust me, the stuff that we see.
and my Airbnbs were started in 2018, so like
Yeah.
a long time
Wow.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.